All right, Duval, welcome back. One more week down, one more victory Monday celebrated. We are looking ahead at week 5 for the 3-1 Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm your host, Josh Slater, and always and forever joined by Mr. Charles Griggs. You think I'd get
I got
better at
four
this?
words. I got 4 words.
What's that?
How about those
How
Jaguars?
about those Jaguars? All right. How did you enjoy the game?
It was better than the last. It was better than the last game.
We were at the
However,
last game. We were in stadium 2 years ago for the when San Francisco came to town, and I never leave a game early, ever. And I think we left that
yeah.
game early.
Oh, we were out of there, man. We were out of there. In true Jacksonville fan fashion, we were out of there.
Yeah,
Got to beat the traffic.
we parked a mile away.
As one should in Duval
Someone
County.
should. It was free.
But yeah, man, it was watching that game. One, like I said before in the last show, man, it was good to watch. The team is obviously in a better position than it was last year. However, penalties are killing us. Penalties are killing us. Penalties are killing us. But I am of the position that we should have won that game in the second quarter, and everything that happened after halftime should have just been, cherry on top. So, that's where I stand on that. As far as I'm concerned, every game that we've played so far should have been won in the second quarter. And the only reason why that hasn't happened is because we're beating ourselves in the penalties. So take from that what you will.
I'll say based on that, like you already hinted on your first point. So let's just dive straight in to some of your other takeaways that you got.
Yeah, man. Like I said, penalties are killing us. As far as I'm concerned, penalties are a coaching thing. So as great as Liam Cohen and his staff is doing right now, they gotta do something about the penalties. There is a great graphic that I sent Josh before. We're leading the league in penalties. 38. Like, come on. If I was Liam Cohen, I would the cover picture on everybody's tablet. The tablet that they all get for film and replays and study the plays and everything. I would make that the screensaver on the tablet because they got to do better. They got to do better. These are a bunch of professionals. Penalties we can't. That's easy. Penalties are easy. So but the next thing apart from that coming down is our defense, man. Holy cow. The defense has the whole entire county on its back. Not just the team. They got Duval County on the back. It's I saw, on Reddit, they were trying to figure out what our names are gonna be, the Saxonville,
Saxonville
Saxonville,
2.0.
uh Jacksonville 2.0, Teal Town, the Teal Curtain, the D is on it, and it looks like Devin Lloyd is leading the way, man. And I just saw right before we started recording, he was named the AFC Defensive Player of the Week. So hats off, man, and congratulations, good stuff, man. That's great, 3 takeaways in a game, man, with 2 interceptions. Holy cow, man. I love to see it. I love to see it. They're playing lights out. Liam Cohn he's all energy, man. I love to see it. This is the type of energy that we wanted before, and this is a different type of player coach. I still think he's a player coach. However, you can tell that he is a top to bottom football guy, and he breathes, eats, and sleeps nothing but football. and that's what he does. I saw something where when he was first hired, his the thing that he wanted was he always wanted to be an NFL head coach, and you can see it in his eyes. You can see it in the way that he calls plays. You can see it in the way that he talks. You can see it in the way and when they showed him his office for the first time. It's great. It's awesome. I love to see it. And the new kickoff scheme, I know we talked about it last time, but the new kickoff scheme has done a lot of good for the league. And namely in the scheme of, we're seeing a lot more football. We're seeing a lot more football in the sense of a lot less shots being thrown downfield. And we all know that when those shots go downfield, a lot of time passes, and 9 times out of 10, they don't catch the ball, and now we're in commercial break. Now what's happening is we're seeing a lot more passes 20 yards or less, and the receivers are having to work for their pay on that, and they're not just streaking downfield. And what's happening is a lot of people are being exposed, man. And I really feel like, Travis Hunter, especially him being in that slot, is really going to capitalize on that. So we expect to see a lot more Travis Hunter, especially as he gets more comfortable with Trevor. When that starts to really click, we are going to see a lot more Travis Hunter. So yeah, that's that, man. I'm for it. I'm here for it, man.
Yeah, on some of those, excuse me, like I'm gonna talk about Liam as well and the D, but yeah, it's a trend, and one of the cliches that gets passed around the league a lot for the NFL is the NFL is a league of I don't want to say repetition, but like you mimic someone else. You basically in the early 2000s, everyone just tried to copy what the Patriots are doing, and now they're copying to some extent what the Eagles are doing. But 2 years ago, it was the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Chiefs are doing, and they did it all last year. And Patrick Mahomes caught a lot of flack for it, dinking and dunking, dinking and dunking. Well, secondaries have gotten better. Safeties are getting back to getting really, really good universally. Safeties now still are not what safeties were when Donovan Darius played the position. That right. I loved watching Donovan Darius play, but that's not how safeties are built. That's not how safeties are asked to play anymore. So yeah, it's 5-yard crosses, it's quick slants, right. It's 10-yard outs. It's all of this. Not middle of the field, not in between the numbers, definitely not in between the hashes, which is actually kind of funny because, again, going back to Sunday, something that we gave Brock Purdy 5 or 6 times was in between the hash marks, 10 to 17 yards down the field were just open for him to take. Now, our secondary hit them immediately and tackled them, but they still got the first down. I mean, Brock Purdy was taking that all day because it was there,
right?
And so here's
a hot take while you're doing that. Troy Polamalu would not survive in today's NFL.
I think he would, but he would survive on special teams.
I will take that.
I'll take that. I would say John Lynch, who was the hardest hitter in the NFL when Donovan Darius played, would not survive. Because again, I don't know if you've ever met Donovan Darius and stood next to him. He was massive. And Absolutely. The fact that you look at him and go, like nowadays you'd be like, he must have been a tight end. He must have been, a linebacker. No, that's what safeties look like. They were 6'7" and 3 yards, 3 feet across, shoulder to shoulder.
Right.
So it's the game. The game is evolving. The game is changing. So I fully agree with you on a lot of those notes. And the kickoff too. You watch more than I do, but F1, and for the past, not this season, the previous 2 seasons, F1 car changed, and Red Bull understood it first, and they were able to adapt it first, and they were winning left and right. I use that as an analogy. Kickoffs have changed, And now you're seeing some people, instead of just kick it into the end zone, just kick it in the end zone, just
Right.
give them the 35-yard line. Now coaches are working with kickers to, hey, I want you to rainbow this onto the 10, and it trickle to the 5 or the 2, to where the deep man has to run up, stop, lean over, pick up the ball. The moment he touches it, everyone runs. And now
Right.
he's not at full speed. He's not at half speed. He's leaning over, trying
Right.
to not muff the punt or muff the kick. And
Right.
now he has to figure out where his blockers are. There's a lot of strategy that in year 2 is finally going into these kicks. So
Right.
that is
It's a game of momentum. It's a game of momentum.
absolutely, absolute momentum
It's
is definitely a thing.
very interesting. Especially when now you saw it in the last game. When Parker Washington, took it to the house because he got that ball and was able to get up to 100%. And now you're seeing a lot more gameplay where you're trying to prevent that as much as possible. However, you don't want to put it in the end zone and you don't want to put it out of bounds, and now you're bringing back in the chess. You're bringing back chess to the kickoff,
The
which
Bill
is absolutely
Belichickness, the early Bill
right.
Belichickness of it. I almost screenshot. There was one statistic on ESPN from the game that I thought was absolutely amazing. Do you know how many punt returns the Jags performed Sunday?
Oh no, how many?
One. The
I
Jags
love it.
fielded a kick once, or a punt
Wow.
once, and Parker Washington took it to the house.
Wow.
That's it. I mean, it's
That's
absolutely amazing. I love it. I love it.
that's good for the special teams.
Yeah. So I'm gonna move on to I got some stuff too. So my takeaways may seem like I just wrote the same thing down multiple times, but it really is. It's defense is killing it. Defense is killing it. Our O line is killing it, and defense is killing it. And then Trevor can do better. I did hear one note. We'll talk about that when we get down there. But yeah, I mean, sorry, Jordan Lewis. I mean, so he's only allowing a 25.9 passer rating. He's only allowing 3.9 yards per target. He's allowed no touchdowns and has 2 picks. He's got the lowest passer rating allowed amongst players targeted. I didn't read the last sentence. Sorry, my brain stopped. Players targeted 20 times this season. I mean, that's amazing. That's crazy. And also, Devin Lloyd, 23 tackles, 3 interceptions, 3 player pass breakups, and a fumble recovery. I mean, it's crazy what this defense is doing. The next one from X, offensive line. Our offensive line through 4 weeks, we've allowed. We're first in sacks allowed. We're second in QB pressures, and we're 4th in yards before contact. I mean, it's just these stats that if you would have told us at any point in the last 3 years, I wouldn't have believed you. Here's our defensive ranks through 4 games. We're only allowing 18 points per game, which is 5th in the NFL. We're +9 in their turnover differential. We have 9 interceptions and 4 fumbles. So we're 5th, first, and 3rd. And I mean, the stat that a lot of the national media has been running with all week is the 9 takeaways, which is we had 9 takeaways all of last season, and we already have that through 4 games this season. I just, yes, it's a miracle, or not a miracle. Yes, it's amazing. I for one am kind of like for a rule of thumb or whatever. If it happens in 1 game, it could be a fluke. If it happens in 2 games, 3 games, it could be a trend. If it happens in 4 games in a row, that is your identity. That's not to say your identity can't change throughout the season, but that's who you are, and that's who you need to maintain to be. So I think
Right.
there's a lot of euphoria happening right now. There's a lot of Jags fans on a high note right now. But again, like I've been a Jags fan for a long time, man. Like stuff will change.
And
Like
that's
we
real
could
trauma.
still not win another game for the rest of the season, and that would be completely on brand with like the name of this podcast. Like I came up with in 2019 after we fired the head coach. We had the first overall pick, and we had a head coach to fill. And I was like, "Cool, how are we going to jag this up this time?" You know. And we hired Urban Meyer, so obviously the
Right.
term fits. But
Right. Right.
so yeah,
You know,
I go ahead.
it's interesting because and I said this last week about Kansas City and how the league is full of very very smart people, and it doesn't take long for these smart people to kind of figure out. I wholeheartedly believe that there is no such thing as a bad NFL team because they all get paid millions of dollars to do what they do best. Now, where we come in is that the Jags have managed to pull off some phenomenal defense for 4 games straight. Not, like you said, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4. So there's obviously a system in play here that works. Now, the hard part is, and this is where the coaching comes in. This is where, the coaches make their money. Cohen and the crew, uh, they have to fend off the jackals because everybody and their mom right now is looking at our film and trying to figure out what is going on with the Jaguars defense because you don't put up those kind of numbers and don't get a spotlight put on you. This is right now we have the curse of the spotlight, and it's starting with Kansas City because Kansas City started looking at us on game 2. After that first ridiculously good game. The second game we lost, but it was still good defensive wise. Kansas City was already looking at us. So we're going to have to try to figure out how to keep this phenomenal defense with a spotlight on us. So, yeah, we got to figure it out. We got to figure it out. And, this is why we hired, this is why we cleaned house in the front office. And, it's really going to come down to that. So, yeah.
I saw someone talking. I don't watch a lot of NFL shows throughout the week. There's literally like 2 that I watch consistently because I enjoy the hosts. One I'll drop the name. One's Rich Eisen, and he brought up an interesting point, and that is Cohen was brought in to basically do one thing, and that was fix Trevor Lawrence. There's a ton of issues going on. Offensive line was bad. Defense and all 3 layers were bad. Special teams is bad. Turnovers, like we said, were non-existent. We were last in the league.
Right.
Through 4 games, defense is phenomenal. Special teams is killing it. Offensive line, I mean, Trevor has all day. The one aspect that we brought him in to do is the one thing he hasn't done yet. And again, there's no such thing as simple answers to complicated questions. And maybe Trevor's just a more complicated question than we thought. But I mean, I'm not saying Trevor I'm not going to compare any 2 quarterbacks that Liam's worked with in the past to Trevor. But like, I think it's going to get there. I just think I'm at this point, I'm not willing to put it all on Trevor, because there was one pass down the sideline, I want to say to Brian Thomas Jr., where Brian just went and Trevor threw it as if it was a comeback. Like, that's a communication thing. That's someone reading their route tree wrong or hearing the wrong number coming out of the huddle for the route tree. So that's I'm not going to completely put blame on that for them. Let's see. I'm just going to take it. I'm not going to try to fit this in. I'm going to show. This is our schedule, and I mean, Carolina may not be the best team in the league, Cincinnati had Burrow in there for a little bit. Houston has won our division 2 years in a row. San Francisco is finally getting all their guys healthy-ish. These aren't nothing wins / loss, but Kansas City is no joke. I don't care what their record is. I don't care if Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback. The coach is the same, and there a couple of those 4 or 5 of those pieces that they have are there. They're still going to be a force to be reckoned with. Seattle's, I think, 3-1 at this point as well. The Rams are 3-1 in this well. So like through 4 games, this looks nice. And this, like we can pat ourselves on the back and we can have euphoria. But the next 3 games aren't nothing either. Like we're going to be tested. And
Right.
we'll get to kind of looking ahead in a second as well. But like, we got a long way ahead. No one should be crowning anybody,
Right.
division
Right.
leaders. So
And never mind the fact that we've historically had a tough time in our own division, whether we've had a good season or not. You need not look further than,
Titans,
last season before,
yeah,
And, we've always had issues with the Titans. We've always had issues with Indy, Indy,
unless
to
it's
our credit.
Indy here,
Right.
let's
To
mark
our
that as a
credit, they've
W.
never won. Right. They've never won in the bank, but in a while. But, historically, we've always had issues with our own division. And once we can cross that line, as far as I'm concerned, everything else is downhill from there.
And I know like some people in the national media will look at the AFC South kind of the same way they look at the NFC South, which is all the divisions aren't as strong as the AFC East or the
Right.
NFC, I guess also East, or the AFC West.
Right.
But if you know each other that well, if your coaches have been there that long, if you have a lot of personnel that's been there that long, everyone has long memories. So you're going to play each other.
Right.
If they almost become college games is what they do.
Right.
You know?
And it's crazy because to me, one thing that a lot of people don't notice is that when we play these division games, we're facing a lot of our own players
Yeah.
because a lot of our people jump ship and they go to Houston, they go to Indy, like come on, they go to Tennessee,
Yeah, like
what are we supposed to do against
I'll
that?
jump down to the bottom point on this one. Cam Robinson, 2 years ago or season and a half ago, beginning of 2023, we didn't re-sign him. Houston signed him to a 1-year deal, I think for $12 million. I guess he got brought over. Like let me take a step back. We released him or traded him to the Vikings in 2023.
Right.
4 days before we played the Vikings. That's how much we didn't care anymore. And
Right.
then into that season, he goes to Houston, gets a $12 million deal for 1 year. I guess somehow renewed part of that because he was on Houston's roster as of 2 days ago. And then they just shipped him to Cleveland for a 7th-round pick.
Wow.
I mean,
I'm amazed that he got that.
yeah, I do. If your best offensive lineman is Cam Robinson, you don't have a good offensive line, and I've been saying that since 2019. So
Right.
I mean,
Hey.
but yeah, like
Yeah.
there's a whole lot of. I mean, Christian Kirk is in Houston right now, which is a crime, but it's a new front office, it's a new coach. I kind of get it, but I also think you could have re-signed him for way less money. You didn't have to trade
Right.
him.
It's fresh
So,
eyes, man. It's fresh
yeah,
eyes.
it really
And you
is.
got to respect the fresh eyes.
I want to move forward a little bit. Couple quick notables. Trayvon Walker apparently was wearing a sling in the locker room after the win in San Francisco. He's still, as of this morning, questionable with an undiagnosed wrist injury. So we're going to take a look at that. I'm only concerned about that in the manner that if he's not there and they ask Devin Lloyd to move forward from the linebacker up to the defensive line position, how's that going to affect his ability to do what he's been doing? The Liam Cohen, Robert Saleh interaction. Again, some national media guys have been taking note of this and been commenting on it because there was a local news camera with a hot mic that caught some of that, and there were some words, and Salah said stuff earlier in the week, and Liam waited till he waited to the moment he waited to say something back. If you were surprised by Liam Cohen's the fact that he said anything at all, the fact that he didn't let that moment pass by, if you think we got a fiery coach who's trying to redeem himself for the Duval, you have not been watching Liam Cohen's post-game locker room talks, because week 1, that changed my complete opinion of him. Like, he is the fire and brimstone that you want, like you were talking about earlier. He is probably the coach that has excited me the most to watch, be a coach, be a motivator.
He's a football guy, man.
Ever. Like, for the Jags, ever. Coughlin was, an Iron Maiden. Like, Coughlin was like an Iron Fist. Some of the other guys, Del Rio was too friendly with the coaches. The first Doug we had was kind of just a guy. And I hate to say that because he was a good offensive line coach, a good offensive coordinator. But he was, as a head coach, he was just like, peanut butter sandwiches. He was the peanut butter sandwiches guy or whatever it was, right?
Yes, he was.
And just like, and then Gus Bradley was, again, like, just a weird fit. He was just happy all the time with no fire. And then Doug Peterson, kind of like, hey, I've done this before. I know what I'm doing. Yep, yeah, but you forgot. You got fired from Philly because you couldn't,
right.
Take control of your offense and you got fired again. So this is I'm not trying to overreact or be in the moment too much when I say this might be my favorite head coach the Jags have ever had, because of the fire, wow, because of what he seems to be motivating in areas he's not supposed to be a specialist in. He's still motivating, right, and we're getting, so either he's amazing or he hired the correct people and brought them in and is letting them do their jobs.
Right. And so a couple things here. One, at least he's not the coach. At least Liam Cohen is not the coach that put an axe in the locker room that ended up in a player almost cutting his leg off. Yeah. The kicker, mind you. And at least he's not the coach that ended up kicking a kicker in his leg. So apparently we have an issue with coaches and kickers, but now we've got the coach who put a ball through the uprights at 70 yards. So yeah, if that's not an omen, I don't know what is. So
also, like, on his Monday presser, someone asked him about closing out the game and it not being as tight, and he was like, "Yeah, man, we should have put 40 on these guys." I'm paraphrasing, right, but still, like, he fully believed that the way I think what he actually said was, based upon the way the defense and special teams was playing, we should have hung 40 on these guys. And the fact that we didn't is an indictment of our offense. And absolutely, in parentheses, the part not said out loud is, and Trevor Lawrence. So,
I can't put the whole thing on Trevor Lawrence because, we do have an entire core of wide receivers that just seem to just not be able to hang on to the ball. So
I think I saw less drops this week. There were less drops.
You did. And, you had that spectacular catch by, Travis Hunter, people pulling the ball in. And, so they definitely got the memo. And I'm pretty sure some people were put on notice during the week. And they played like they were put on notice. So, like I said, I can't put all the eggs in Trevor Lawrence's basket because, if you put the ball in a professional wide receiver's chest, they're supposed to catch it. So,
yeah, I agree, but I'll go back to what we were talking about, something we mentioned last week, and that is, if it doesn't get better, he's not going to be here. I don't care what that contract says. If it doesn't get better,
you think so?
So it's not written down, and we kind of mentioned it last week, but I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna put it in right here. This is where we're putting it in.
Yeah.
I've read two articles about how one was preseason and one was about 2 weeks ago, and which was Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne would be traded by the deadline, and Tank obviously is already gone. I think Travis, for every 100-yard game he gets a little bit of leeway. But I mean, yeah, coming the trade deadline, they might do a make or break. I I I do remember last year and the year before, and to some of you said pre-show, it is his 5th year. They've already picked up his 5th-year option. He was a first-round pick. That's it. That's all we get him for cheap. We've got two
Right.
rookies that apparently look dynamite behind them. And Tootin, we've seen Tootin a little bit. Again, I think 100-yard games are like a weekly reprieve for him. But I remember like last year and the year before, he'd get 95 yards. Well, 45 was on one play.
Right.
And the other 40 were on 15 plays. To me, if we get rid of your longest gain and then look at your average and it's 2, you're not a good running back. Sunday, I don't have all the stats in front of me. He had 120 something yards. 45 of them were on one play. So you get rid of that 45-yard play, he still has about an 80-yard gain, which is still amazing.
Right.
Plus, Tootin didn't really do a lot. I think he had 5 carries for just a handful of yards. Like he didn't get get a lot of opportunity, but he also didn't overly produce in those. He had 2 good medium-sized runs, I think, but not.
But they looked
good.
It. But they looked good. Those runs looked good.
And again, that offensive line for the most part is keeping Trevor upright and doing pretty good block. A lot of the blocks. Some of the game was a blur. I just remember, I can't remember if it was Christian McCaffrey with the 49ers or our guys. There was a whole lot of A-gap runs. A ton of A-gap runs, especially on the right side of the offense. I can't remember if that's strong side or weak side or whatever. But yeah, tons of A-gap, which is the heart of your defense. So
absolutely.
They were getting good. There was Tootin's, who's the guy behind Tootin? Williams. There was a 3rd down and 1 that we didn't. I think he kind of scrambled out of it and got back to the line of scrimmage. But if you look at that play, their defensive line pushed our offensive line back 2 yards, and it's a miracle he got back to the line of scrimmage. I mean, on that play, our offensive line was not good. But going from memory, I don't remember if it was a 4-man push or if they were blitzing or any of that stuff. So,
and you have to have and the skill of the running back has to be able to, how do I say, if the line isn't holding up for the run, the running back has to be able to compensate for that.
Yeah,
and I haven't seen.
You need to have vision. You need to have that weird thing that Le'Veon Bell did, which is he would just like stop and let everyone else run somewhere else, and then he'd decide to run, which doesn't work a lot in the NFL. Barry Sanders did it with cutbacks. Fred Taylor did it with cutbacks as well. I mean, you need to have the vision to be like, my gap is there, but there's a linebacker on the other side of that hole, and I can see him.
Right.
What can I see out of my periphery? What can I turn my head to look? What did I see pre-snap and in the 1.5 seconds between snap and when the quarterback put the ball on my chest? Where can I go? Because I'm not going over there, even though I'm supposed to.
Right.
Because that's not going to end well. Where else can I go?
Maybe Etienne is playing this good because he knows he's not going to be on the team come the end of the season. He might not make it to the trade deadline.
It could be a horribly kept secret. I will agree on that. As to like what his agents, that's the part of it I don't get. Like what are agents saying? What are friends saying? Like how much do the players know about what is happening in the front and how the front office feels? Because again, first year head coach, first year GM, they don't have ties or loyalty
right?
to anybody
He's a part
except
of
for
the
the
old
people they
regime,
just drafted.
right? He's a part of the old regime.
Yeah.
That's a big part of that, man. And and you hate to be how do I say shallow about it, but at the end of the
It's a
day,
business
it's an
decision.
office.
To quote Jerry Jones, it's a business decision. And yeah, I can pay a running back, which the market for running backs, unless your name is Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry, has gone down dramatically. So I can
Right,
maybe re-sign this guy to 10 million a year for 3 years. So Trevor's
right,
happy because his buddy's here, or I can pay the two new kids for 3 more years for nothing.
right. Because like I said before, man, it's this really, man. I keep saying it, but it really comes down to loop back to the way that the game is played now.
Mm-hmm.
With the new kickoff scheme, with teams not having to worry about chucking it downfield all the time, and now defenses actually have to worry about running backs running across the field. Now you got time to,
And I want to say
commit draw plays.
Tootin covers punts too, right? Punts or
Right,
kickoffs. He is in multiple positions. Parker Washington may develop into an absolutely amazing wide receiver too one day, but
right,
he's going to
right.
keep his value and keep a roster spot because of punts.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Especially if he keeps playing the way he does. He's gonna be around for a long time. May not be with the Jags,
Yeah,
but he's gonna be around for a long time. And the Jags have plenty of journeyman skill positions in the
hmm
league right now.
yeah,
It's the old saying is the streets are littered with NFL ex-NFL players, but the NFL is littered with ex-Jags players, and
hmm
you can take that for what it's worth. But holy cow, man!
All right, let's move ahead to this week. Coming up, we have the Kansas City Chiefs coming to the bank, coming to Duval on a Monday night game.
Duval.
Duval.
I'm pretty sure Liam Cohen did that on purpose,
Maybe. I'm
just to
I'm
put that
starting
out
to I'm
there.
starting to think I'm not disagreeing with that as much. I'm surprised we got a Monday night football game after last year's Monday night football game looked horrible. I'm even more surprised we're hosting it. And I'm even more
Right?
surprised that it's against the Chiefs. Um,
Right.
yeah. I mean, it's
Right.
okay. I mean, I'll take all of those things, and I'm not 100% convinced it's going to be a bloodbath, but I think some very specific things have to happen. Defense has to keep being ball hawks. I mean, keep three or more turnovers a game trend needs to continue. It's never been done. I think 4 games it's never been done. So 5 games would set an NFL
Yep.
record or something along those lines. It's never been
Right.
done in franchise history until we did it Sunday.
Right.
So whoever is going to be taking those handoffs from Trevor, we need to be keeping Mahomes on the sideline, running the ball, eating the clock, cutting, just old grime out the game. And lastly, we need to fill up the bank the way it was on our last playoff game against the Chargers in the cold. Like it needs to be dumb
Yeah.
loud. I don't know. I haven't
Yeah.
seen if they've announced if it's going to be a teal out, a blackout, or whatever. I believe it's another retro jersey
It
night.
should be the
So
retro jersey.
yeah, there are a lot of the ads. So I'm going to be on vacation. I'm going to be up in Maine, but I might post a picture of me wearing my old Fred Taylor jersey. So but
Dude, you got
I
the
will not be
Fred jersey,
calling the
man.
game. I have a black OG Fred Taylor jersey. It's 2 sizes too small. But when I saw it I saw it in the shop after he had left Jacksonville, and I just bought it anyways because I was like, I'm never gonna
Oh,
see this again.
absolutely.
So I've lost some weight. I can wear it like a t-shirt. But that's
Yeah,
about it.
yeah, there we go. There we go. You know.
But yeah, like so what are your some of your some what are your what do you think needs to happen? And we
You
didn't
know,
do this last week, but we'll do a pick 'em. So
I think that, and I spoke on this last week, that Kansas City is in the process of starting to be exposed, and Liam Cohn and the people that he's surrounded himself with, they're one, he's a new age coach, and the way that he approaches things, the way that that he approaches the game itself, the people that he surrounds himself with, it's it's a new age. So I think that he's a part of that crew that's starting to finally figure out Kansas City's deal. And what's going to happen is if the Jags can keep Mahomes contained, um, not even in the sense of like stopping him from running, but like making him run, period. Because we've already established the fact that the defense can keep up with whatever's going on back there. So if the defense could just keep Mahomes busy, especially if they have a chance to, if they have a chance to extend plays, I think that our defense uh, thrives in extended plays because everything that's happened so far has happened in an extended play. So if we can make that happen more times than not, I think we'll have Kansas City's number. And I really think that this is going to be another situation of we're going to look like the better team. Because everybody knows, it's Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelsey first, and that's what everybody's going to look. And everything after that is pretty much going to be downhill. So if they can stop that, it's going to be their game.
I don't disagree, but I have a very different take, and that is Xavier Worthy coming back next week and what they were able to do on offense next week. Kansas City loves to play with a chip on their shoulder, especially Patrick. Like he will just find motivation, and I think being 2-2 and being kind of at this point looked over, several people on TV picked the Chargers to win the division. I think he's building up motivation, and they're starting to turn that corner. I also think that we know how to stop Patrick Mahomes. Just look at the 2 Super Bowls he lost. Just
Right.
get in his face over and over and over again.
Right.
We
Right.
didn't get a lot of sack. I think we technically got 1 sack last Sunday, and that was the strip sack. But there were 5 or 6 times where Josh Hines Allen was at the end of the play was giving Brock Purdy a little hug, like a little tap, like, hey, by the way, I'm here. So if we can get some type of pressure on him to where he has to. Where's Juju? Where's Juju Smith? Like he can't find Travis. He can't find Xavier Worthy. So he has to use Hollywood Brown. He has to use Juju Smith-Schuster. So I think if we can get there, we have a chance. And then if we can ball hawk, that would be great. But I mean, I'm guessing you're picking. If we had to pick them right now, you're picking the Jags.
Oh, Jags all day. So here's my hot take related to that. This is the game where we'll see Travis Hunter's first interception.
Okay.
This is it.
I am not as confident as you. I think it'll be a good game if we can do all of those things that I just said easily. It'll be close, but I think, I mean, these are the guys that last year won 500 games by 1 score, and we lost 500 games by 1 score. So I mean, it could be a change of the guard. This could be, in order to be the man, you got to beat the man. But everyone is going to have that mentality with the Chiefs until someone else wins the AFC Championship game. So
Right.
I think it's going to be a lot more competitive than what we thought 4 weeks ago.
Right.
But I think the defense is going to have to literally put Trevor on their shoulders and carry him around for 60 minutes.
Right. And there's another, intangible that we have to take into consideration as well. The Chiefs started out the season as 0-3.
Yeah.
That's a low morale team, man. That and
0-2. They're 2-2 now.
Well, 0-2.
Yeah, they're 2-2
They
now.
started the season 0-2. Sorry.
They're on a winning streak.
However, that still affects people. Humans are gonna human, and they can take advantage of that because as soon as the Jags start, if they look good in Q1, it's gonna affect the Chiefs mentally. And
Someone posted on Reddit yesterday the video from the AFC. I don't think it was the AFC Championship game. It was Trevor's second playoff game. So yeah, not the wild card. Anyways, but he's walking to the tunnel. You see the banner that says Chiefs wins, and he beat everyone to the tunnel. He looks over his shoulder, then he stands halfway down the tunnel and just high fives
right,
everybody. And the
right,
caption is, "We'll be back."
right,
That was 4 years ago,
right, right,
and we
right,
haven't
right.
been close to being back.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe this is maybe Trevor just sees that video over and over again because you can see it in his eyes. Like
yeah,
he's
man.
disappointed in himself. But he's also has this. We're gonna be back. We can do this again. And
Right,
the fact that that has eluded him for 2 seasons now, 3 seasons now,
right,
I hope that's the type of motivation and the chip they can put on their shoulder this week for
right.
that. So
And my thing is, it's bigger than Trevor. It's an organization, it's a city thing. Because this is the hot team. This is the team that gets all the commercials and all of that. If I were the city of Jacksonville, if I was the Jacksonville Jaguars, man, I would pull out all the stuff. So I would bring the Jacksonville Zoo in and have that Jaguar sitting in the tunnel watching Kansas City, players as they walk onto the field. I'm pulling out all the stops for this one. Especially on
I
the Monday
don't
night game.
disagree. And if nothing else, if you want to have a Monday night playoff game next year, you got to do something this year. Like just from
Absolutely.
the PR standpoint of it all, if nothing else, like yeah, this needs to be full and complete buy-in. During one of the commercial breaks, honor the Jumbo Shrimp who just won the World Series and their championship.
Right,
Like
right.
everything that you can do to get people on the feet, and also the people that do show up, stay. Please
Yes.
stay. Just
Yeah.
just give them if you want 60 minutes from the players, you got to give 60 minutes to the players.
Right. You remember back in the day, man, when the stadium would get so loud that the refs would have to threaten taking a timeout from the Jags.
Yeah.
Those are good days,
Yeah.
man. And it mattered. It mattered because in a loud stadium, quarterback can't make calls the way
Yeah.
he's supposed to. And for the Kansas City Chiefs, that's a thing. That's an absolute thing because he stands back there and he makes calls. And we gotta do as much as we can. So, and I'm saying that as the eternal optimist Jags fan. So,
And I'm the demonstrable realist. So, all right, so that's going to put another one in the bag. This week, we're going to leave you on a different note. I don't have any audio to roll underneath this. I didn't have a chance to grab any that would not land us in YouTube jail. So, to all of the future teams that are going to be coming up against Jacksonville, it's not just Trayvon Walker. It's not just Josh Hines Allen. It's not just Travis Hunter on both sides of the ball. It's not just ETN. You have to stare down. You got to keep your eyes on this man too.